The house at the end of Sycamore Street had always been an enigma. For decades, it remained untouched, its windows boarded up, its paint peeling like dry skin. People whispered about it, spinning tales of strange noises and shadowy figures lurking inside. Most dismissed these as urban legends, but not Daniel Grayson. Daniel, an investigative journalist, had built his career on uncovering the truth behind the supernatural. When he heard of the abandoned house, he knew he had found his next big story. But some doors should never be opened. It started with a letter placed neatly on Daniel's doorstep. The envelope was yellowed, the ink faded but legible. "You seek the truth? Then enter the house before the clock strikes midnight. Only then will you understand." There was no signature, no return address, just the undeniable pull of mystery. Daniel had faced eerie cases before, but this was different. This felt personal. Ignoring the warnings of his friend and fellow journalist, Sarah, he packed his camera, flashlight, and notebook. That night, as the town slept, he approached the house. The air around it was heavy, dense, as if pressing against his chest. With each step, the silence grew louder. When he reached the door, it creaked open before he even touched it. Inside, the air smelled of decay and something metallic. Blood? His flashlight flickered, struggling against the darkness. The wooden floors groaned beneath his weight, as though the house itself was breathing. The hallway stretched longer than it should have, doors lining each side. But one stood out, the only one that wasn't covered in dust, its brass handle polished to a shine. As he reached for it, whispers filled the air. Not loud, not distinct, but undeniably there. He turned. The hallway behind him had changed. The front door was gone. His pulse quickened. He was not alone. Daniel forced himself to breathe. He had to document this. Raising his camera, he clicked. The flash illuminated the hallway for a fraction of a second and revealed something he wished he hadn't seen. A face, inches from his own. Hollow eyes, a stretched mouth, grinning. The camera dropped as he stumbled back. The face was gone, but the whispers were louder now, weaving through the air like unseen fingers. The only way was forward. He grasped the polished doorknob and turned it. Inside was a room unlike the rest of the house, pristine, untouched by time. A wooden desk sat in the center, papers scattered across it. But what caught his eye was a portrait hanging above the fireplace. It was him. Not just a resemblance. It was him, down to the last detail. And beneath it, a plaque. Daniel Grayson, 1902. His blood ran cold. He wasn't born until 1985. Something moved behind him. A shadow slithered along the walls, unnatural in its movements. The whispers coalesced into words. "You have always been here. Number this was a prank, an illusion." He yanked open a drawer, searching for anything that could explain this madness. Instead, he found a stack of letters, each one addressed to him, dated decades before his birth. One sentence repeated in every letter. "Do not open the door." But which door? The whispers turned to laughter. The walls trembled. A single door now stood where the fireplace had been, black as midnight, pulsing as if alive. Something was waiting on the other side. The house groaned, its walls shifting. Daniel backed away, but the door called to him. He felt it in his bones, a gravitational pull stronger than fear. His breath was ragged. He had to know. He reached out. The door swung open. Darkness swallowed him whole. Sarah pounded on Daniel's apartment door the next morning, frustration boiling over. He hadn't answered her calls, hadn't shown up for work. She pushed the door open. His apartment was empty. No furniture, no clothes, no sign that Daniel had ever lived there. Heart hammering, she ran back to the newsroom. His articles, his photos all gone. No records, no existence. A chill ran down her spine. That night, as she lay awake, her phone buzzed with a notification. A new email from Daniel Grayson. Subject: "Do not open the door." Sarah's hands trembled as she clicked the email. There was only one attachment, a grainy black and white photo of the abandoned house on Sycamore Street. But in the window, peering out, was Daniel's facious mouth open in a silent scream. She bolted upright, her heart hammering. The room was too quiet, the air too still. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. "You're next," the whispers began. Sarah tried to call someone, but her phone had no signal. She turned toward her door, ready to run. But something was wrong. The door wasn't there anymore. A chill crept up her spine. She backed away, bumping into her desk. The shadows around her stretched unnaturally, shifting like living things. And then, she heard it. A knock. Soft at first, then louder. The same knock Daniel must have heard the night he disappeared. She squeezed her eyes shut. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. The knock turned into pounding. Then, silence. She opened her eyes. The door was back, but something was different. The handle was polished, gleaming in the dim light. And then, as if guided by an unseen force, Sarah's hand lifted. She reached out. The door swung open. Darkness swallowed her whole.